So, Ginger,
Yeah?
you know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? The podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm Miles Grover.
And I'm Ginger Barb.
And it has been a little while since we recorded, because we moved. And luckily we had recorded a bunch of episodes ahead of time. I do not remember at all what our last episode was, so whatever it was, I hope you had a good time listening to that one. But we're not doing whatever we said in that episode, so we're doing a new one.
Yep.
Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start today?
You go ahead and start.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with some ideas that my sister sent us about 6 weeks ago at this point, I think, or something. But
thanks, Sarah. Sorry it took us so long to get to your ideas.
Yep. Loyal listener, my sister Sarah. Shout out to her, I guess. Shout out to you, Sarah. Okay, so her ideas are, first one is she has two ideas based on memory, she says. First one is each episode, take a look at a photo or whatever will evoke the memory, describe it in detail, and then tell the story behind it. Or alternatively, you pick a photo and have the other person describe it and tell the memory behind it, which, since they weren't there for it, they'll be making up, and then you could tell the actual memory and compare it to the made-up thing.
I like that one. I like the idea of, like, here's a picture from my past, make up a memory to go with it.
Yeah, I think that could be fun. The only downside I see to that is that I don't know if I have that many pictures that are interesting from my past. Maybe you do.
I do. I have a lot of childhood pictures.
Yeah.
I was the firstborn, so there's a lot of photos of me.
Well, I was also firstborn. There's probably lots of photos of me somewhere, but I don't have them. And also, pictures of a kid just being a kid isn't necessarily interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, I've got interesting ones.
Okay.
I've got some interesting ones. So I think that could be fun. We could have people send in their weird pictures too.
Mm-hmm.
And we make up memory and then, read the memory that they actually sent. But first
that could be fun. Yeah, have the audience send in pictures and do that. That could be fun.
I mean, I do see it being a little bit of a problem with it being probably more fun if you have the visual.
Yeah, I mean, we're describing the picture, but yeah, the visual. I mean, we could post the visual on our Instagram or something, I guess.
Yeah.
But there would be
multiple ones probably, right? Because you're probably not going to spend all episode talking about one picture.
Yeah, maybe it's a shorter kind of podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
I think, even though we can share the pictures, like having it all be picture-based, I guess it doesn't have to be picture-based. It could be recordings or, I don't know, like smells or something that could trigger a memory.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know how we would transport a smell. Say, here, I guess.
Or just people like sharing their awkward family memories. I mean, that could just be a fun podcast on its own. People sharing their awkward family stories.
Okay.
With or without photos.
Okay, so we would just be sharing our own awkward family things and then share audience ones if they send them in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Sarah has a bunch more ideas, by the way. So we can keep going with these, or we could switch to if you have an idea you want to talk about, or what do you think?
I have a couple ideas this week. Why don't we talk a couple more of Sarah's and then I'll throw some of mine out.
Okay. I have some ideas as well, so we'll see if we get to that. But this one would have made more sense, before we moved. We moved to Albany, New York, so we're not in Brooklyn anymore.
We're not cool anymore.
Yeah, well, and the idea is a podcast where you ride the subway and get off at random stations and narrate what's happening and what you see the whole time, give people a glimpse into New York City who don't live there. So that's a podcast we need now, rather than can provide now, I guess.
Do we?
Well, no, but,
I mean, yeah, no, I just meant, do we need more glimpses into the subway?
Well, it would be off the subway, right? You'd be reading off the subway or whatever.
Okay.
But, improv a story every episode. Maybe you're given a topic or genre or both. You have to work together to tell a story based off of it. That's kind of a basic kind of improv, prompt, I guess, type situation. I feel like we've had ideas that were similar to this.
That actually goes along with one of my ideas this week.
All right, so maybe we should come back to that when we get to your idea.
Yeah, I had a similar idea.
Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
Table this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a podcast called What Should This Book Be About?
Okay.
Which is just a podcast where we come up with ideas for the next great novel.
Okay.
And workshop them. So
it's this podcast that we're doing now, except
books.
Except this podcast is actually a book?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
No, I will not give you any further questions.
Because this podcast is a podcast, and it's not a book. So how would this podcast be a book?
Well, no. I'm saying we come up with book ideas.
Okay.
We come up with book ideas.
And when you say book, you're thinking fiction, like novels?
Like novels, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We pick a genre. Maybe we take turns, like you come up with a character and you come up with a protagonist, and then I come up with an antagonist, and then
you could just do
just back and forth,
Coming up with a protagonist is easy if you take the Neil Stephenson route and just name him hero protagonist.
Yeah.
Like in Snow Crash.
Well, I was thinking maybe come up with a protagonist, like, personality-wise, round them out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I came up with this idea while I was reading a book.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that is quite similar to Sarah's idea there.
Hers might be a little bit more fun because you're actually telling a story as you go.
So your idea is basically like the movie thing we did previously, where we come up with like what the plot would be, what the characters would be, but it's a book, not a movie.
Yeah. So actually, I think hers is more interesting.
Is that actually the same idea as the movie one? Because neither one is a book or a movie. It's just us talking about it. And what is it? Is there enough difference when you're describing a plot and characters? I guess with a book, you don't.
You're saying that my idea is derivative of my idea
of the other idea, of the ChatGPT idea.
Yeah.
I guess with a book you wouldn't have the like.
Right, that was a ChatGPT, not my idea. So
yeah,
I'm no better than AI.
You wouldn't have like casting, right? You wouldn't be like, oh, I think Robert Pattinson's going to play this character in this book.
Well, you could if you were like, okay, who would play this character in the movie? And then it's just the same idea.
The movie of the book, or in the audiobook.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. Who will we get to read the audiobook? Okay, yeah. I mean, I just threw it out there because it was similar to her idea. No. Her idea is better for sure.
We've talked about very similar ideas, so it's clearly an okay idea for this podcast. But we have talked about pretty similar ideas.
Yeah, I think it'd be more fun to actually be telling a story.
Yeah, like coming up with a story on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What happens when we get to the end of the story and it's like, well, that was a dumb story. That wasn't, interesting or funny or...
What happens when we get to the end of our podcast recording and we go, well, that was a dumb idea?
Well, yeah. It's a good point, I guess. Okay, so disappointment all around?
Yeah, that's what we traffic in here, isn't it?
I guess so. Sarah has 2 more ideas, I think. Do you want to hear those?
Yeah.
All right. One is a baby toy review podcast, but instead of how fun the toy is for the baby, it's for how fun it was for the parent to use with the baby.
All right.
Which is this is not a bad idea, I guess.
Yeah, it's just timely that we're going over this now since I just got a box of toys for Rory in the mail.
Right.
The stacking cups were kind of fun for me to play with.
Right. Is there a tension between toys the baby finds fun that are not fun for the parent and toys the parent finds fun that are not fun for the baby?
Yeah. I mean, I think anything that takes batteries and makes noise is going to be less fun for the parent.
Yeah.
We know that.
Not necessarily more fun for the baby, though, either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be a funny podcast, but it would be probably interesting to people who have babies.
Yeah, I mean, it would be
and are looking for toy reviews.
It would be a pretty not utilitarian maybe, but a podcast you listen to for a specific purpose, right?
Right.
Like, oh, I see in this episode they reviewed the, I don't know, Baby Blaster 5000, which is definitely a real baby toy.
It's a toy that blasts out babies.
It blasts your baby, and they
into
love it.
Space.
They love it. They love it.
The
don't
baby
they?
loves being blasted into space. It's not so fun for the parents because then they don't have a baby anymore.
By the way, I just said some stuff in a weird voice, and that's because I was talking to Rory, who is here, not because that's how I talk to Ginger.
Yeah, if you hear us, I know it's interesting because that is a thing that you start doing when you have a baby around all the time. Is you will look at the baby and you'll be saying a totally normal thing to your partner, like "I'm gonna go make us some sandwiches for lunch," and it comes out, "I'm gonna go make us some sandwiches for lunch." Right. Yes, I am.
I'm going to make those sandwiches. They're going to be delicious. And he makes a concerned face. That's what he just did.
He goes, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" He's being remarkably quiet.
He's being very quiet and good right now. Okay, last idea from Sarah was a podcast where you imagine the world, but with one thing off. Like an episode discussing if everything or certain things that are small were actually big, or if we only saw in black and white, or if roads had never been invented.
Okay.
So kind of a like counterfactual, like what if kind of thing. We try to discuss like what it would
what
be
if
like.
Scenarios.
That's
okay,
actually
that could be kind of.
That's actually not a bad idea. I feel like that could be pretty I don't know, like fun to talk about. Like
what if we only saw in black and white?
Yeah, or like
what if there were no trees?
It reminds me of an episode. It reminds me of an episode of Sliders. You remember that show? Jerry McConnell was in it.
I don't think I ever watched that show, but I was thinking it was kind of Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Jerry O'Connell was the main guy, and also had what's his name, Jonathan Rhys Davies.
Still haven't seen it.
It was.
I know of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, they basically like walked into a thing that takes you to alternate universes, and they spent the rest of the show trying to get back to the original universe they came from.
Okay,
right?
So they're like It's like universes that are very similar to ours, but like in this universe, there's no top hats.
In this universe, the Nazis won, or this universe, sometimes they go back.
Mine was way more interesting.
Well, I'm describing things that actually happened. But the one I was thinking of when I mentioned it is they go... I think this was just like the beginning of an episode when they were coming back from a world, and then they start the rest of the actual episode or something like that. But there was a world where everything was the same except everyone had mustaches.
Okay, see, I like that.
So that was I just remember
everyone,
that.
Children,
yeah. As far as
dogs,
I recall, men, women, children. I don't know if dogs, maybe
cats,
horses can grow mustaches in this world that we live in right now. Just if anyone doesn't know about horse mustaches, you should Google that.
Chickens walking around with little mustaches.
Chicken mustaches. Everybody's like Mario, I guess, or something. Yeah, so I think that could be something.
That could be fun. What if everyone had mustaches?
Yeah, that could be a fun podcast, I think. Yeah. It's a pretty good idea. Do you have another idea you want to talk about?
I do. This one was inspired by events this week.
Okay.
Which, if you're listening to this in the future, this week the Titan submersible exploded. Imploded.
Yeah. A few billionaires died.
Due to extreme hubris.
Yeah.
And so my idea for a podcast was ways to kill billionaires.
Okay.
Like, not necessarily we're killing billionaires, but ways that it would be fun to see billionaires die.
So it's like...
because I thought, this one was great. I couldn't have made this up.
Right. So it's like 1,000 ways to die in the bank or something like...
Right. Right. So,
just like fun ways that billionaires could die?
Yeah. And so, and if for some strange reason you don't know about the submersible imploding, basically it was 5 billionaires. I don't know if they were all billionaires. All billionaires,
but some of them
But the CEO was, right? The CEO...
I don't think the CEO actually was a billionaire. I think he was like sort of semi-rich, but he was an idiot apparently. So.
Yeah, so the CEO of a company called Ocean Gate named Stockton Rush and 4 other guys went down in a submersible to see the Titanic, and the submersible was basically just a pod with 1 room and a bathroom, and no windows or anything. Well, no, there was 1 window in the bathroom.
No. The bathroom is the same room. It's all 1 room.
The bathroom had a viewport.
The toilet is in that same room.
Right, but the toilet had a viewport.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it was the chair/toilet.
Yeah.
The only chair and the toilet.
They were apparently told to not eat for 2 days so they wouldn't have to go to the bathroom.
Right, I guess.
Anyway, there had been numerous safety warnings, issues with the submersible. It was kind of a Titanic situation of like, ignoring all the iceberg warnings.
Yeah, I feel like we don't probably... If you don't remember this, then you can look it up. But if you do remember this might be kind of tedious. So,
well, anyway, they ignored all the safety warnings and it imploded. And it's been a field day on the internet of like billionaires dying from their own hubris. Lots of great memes. And it just got me thinking, what are some other creative ways that we could come up with for billionaires to instigate their own demise?
Yeah, I feel like this could get a little dicey in that it could be taken as like threats almost.
Well, we don't have to name specific billionaires.
Yeah, but like even I just feel like the idea is a little bit like, don't get me wrong, it's fine with me if billionaires die. In fact, it's more than fine. But like us specifically discussing scenarios in which billionaires die, and there only are, a few hundred or something in the world or whatever.
I mean, we're just speaking hypothetically.
Yeah.
We're just talking hypothetically.
That I don't know if that holds up in court.
You just say hypothetically a lot, then it's fine.
You just say in Minecraft at the end, and it's fine. No, I don't know that necessarily holds up in court, but it could be kind of fun. It's also a little bit like, it might be a little too open-ended because like, it could be anything, right? So it could be like, well, wouldn't it be funny if every billionaire slipped on a banana peel and his pants fell down and then he pooped while he was falling over from the banana peel and it landed in his own mouth and...
Well, I was hoping
and it was on camera and everyone saw it.
I was thinking hopefully more like more ironic and hubris driven than that.
Right.
Than just random happenstance.
Right. Okay. I mean, yeah. I don't know that I have enough or I have a lot of ideas. Yeah. That's not generating a ton of ideas for me right now. Although the thing I just said about them falling over and their pants falling off and pooping in their own mouth is kind of funny, but
Yeah. What if we worked in like Ted Cruz pissing his pants?
I don't think Ted Cruz is a billionaire though.
Right, but he could be hanging out with a billionaire near an electric fence.
And he pees his pants because he likes the warm feeling.
Right. And they're both, standing next to the fence and they think the fence is off. And then hypothetically, Ted Cruz electrocutes Jeff Bezos to death.
Okay, so we are naming billionaires.
Well, maybe just one. Maybe just one or
There's
two.
a few others I could think of that we maybe
just
want
one
to,
or
but
two.
I don't know that I quite like this idea. I mean, I like the idea philosophically, but not necessarily.
Rory just
for the podcast.
slapped me.
That was a pretty loud little slap.
Yeah,
probably got picked up.
He's been beating up on me lately.
He's so abusive.
He's figured out that he has hands and he can flail them around, and usually I'm in the way of them.
Yeah.
All right, what ideas do you have this week?
Let's see. So I had a couple of different things that are sort of related. One is a baby name review podcast.
Okay.
So when we were first, when Ginger first got pregnant with Rory, we were looking at it. We downloaded a bunch of name apps to try to find a good name. Yeah,
there's some clever ones out there. There's an app that's called Kinder, which is like Tinder but for baby names.
Right. A lot of them have the same swipe kind of interaction that you have, like swipe left if you don't like it, swipe right if you do like it, and then it'll save it to your profile.
And it's kind of cool because you can hook it up with your partner, and then it'll let you know if you both swiped right on it.
Yeah, if you both like it, you got a match, and that's good, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of the apps, I guess, probably just have like user submitted names in them or something.
Because there were some strange ones.
Yeah, there was one app that had a bunch that I ended up saving of just bonkers suggestions. So I'll read a few of those. We could name our little baby Team Hair Grover.
We came really close to that, using that one.
TEAMHAIR, Team Hair.
Yeah. It was in the running for a while.
Another one, Dragon Annette.
Like you're dragging Annette?
No, like Annette, but with like the name Annette, but with the word dragon in front of it.
Right.
So, okay. Here's one that I like.
Like Dragon Joe, but Dragon Annette.
Who's Dragon Joe?
Who's Dragon Annette?
Not much. Who's Dragon Annette with you? I don't know. Here's one I liked a lot. Asselina. Like you were going to name your boy Ass, but then you decided, no, it's a girl, so I'm going to give it a female version of Ass. And it's Asselina.
Wait, you're saying you decided it was a girl?
Well, I mean, you decided, you came up with a boy, you're like, oh, yeah. I was going to name my kid Michael, but it's a girl, so I'm going to Michaela or something, right? Like,
right.
There's a lot of names where it's basically just a boy's name. But anyway, you get the idea. Asselina.
Yeah. No, I was just giving you a hard time.
This one is Dink Turk.
Which has some accents and umlauts.
I'm sure it's pronounced other ways. And some of these I think are probably maybe just regular names in other languages that sound...
This is bringing to mind the old it's pronounced Dumas commercial.
Right, yeah. Dink Turk could be like Dinch Chirk or something. I don't know, but we got Dugay Grover, which I'm pretty sure is like Turkish and it's probably more like Duye or something, or Due maybe. Or something like that, but it says Dugay, so that's kind of fun. All right, we had to take a little break because Rory was getting upset, but now we are back.
Yes, and he is less upset, but we should give you a warning, raspberry warning. There may be raspberries in this recording.
Major raspberry alert over here.
Major raspberry alert in effect. There you go.
Okay, so we were talking about the weird names we got on that app.
I think the last one we mentioned was Dugay.
Dugay, yes. So there was that one. This one was probably my favorite, and we ended up naming our car this, which is it suggested Toots Thaddeus.
Yeah.
Toots Thaddeus Grover should be our son's name.
It is not our son's name, but it is our car's name.
We did end up naming our car that. In addition to a raspberry alert, now we maybe are getting into some explicit content alert because some of these are... So this next one, Kunter, starting with a K. Kunter Grover.
Do you think that's like Gunther, but like Kunter?
Probably. And then this one is Ufuk. U-F-U-K. Ufuk. Or Ufuk, or Ufuk, or who knows, but Ufuk. And there's also a no-gay.
Oh.
So do-gay and no-gay are enemy twins, I think, or something. Is that a thing? Enemy twins?
Enemy twins? I mean, probably it's a thing. I don't think people call it enemy twins, though. I think that's just you.
I think it sounds cool.
I mean, it does sound cool.
It sounds cool.
They should call it enemy twins.
A band name or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point of all that was there are a lot of weird baby names, and so we could do a baby name review podcast. Like we could talk about a few names. We maybe talk about what are the popular names lately.
Names we hate.
Names we hate. Names like, there's the...
Hunter.
Or Kunter, as it were. There's Aiden, Braden, Jaden, Caden.
Any of those Aidens, really.
The original Aiden is like a regular name, right?
Yeah,
like
I guess
Aiden.
Right? Aiden is okay. Aiden gets a pass, but like Braden.
But it kind of gets.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Not a fan of any of those.
Yeah, I don't know. We could rate them based on coolness, weirdness, uniqueness, whatever. I don't know. Could be fun.
Yeah, that could be fun.
So that was one of the ideas. I had another idea that was...
And it takes a while to get through all the names, as we saw, because we were being very thorough in our searching, and there's a lot of names out there.
There are whole books full of them.
Yeah, I mean, especially...
whole big websites.
Especially when you get into, names from other countries.
Yeah. Some of the apps we looked at had, you could kind of filter it down and not look at certain nationalities. And at first I was like, no, I don't want to do that. There could be cool names from other nationalities. And then there was stuff like Dink Turk and Ufuk and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe whatever those are from. And then it was also like, actually, it would feel kind of weird if we named our baby like Keiko or Yoshimi or something, like Japanese names.
Yeah, because it feels like
appropriative or something. Yeah, or various kind of things like that. So
ultimately we went with a great name, Rory.
Yeah,
Rory's a good name.
Happy with it. He's a good baby too. Yeah. My other sort of similar idea, which isn't even exactly a full idea, maybe it's the same idea, but just expanded a bit, which is talking about crazy names from history, like Puritan names.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because there was that Puritan guy whose name was, if Christ had not saved thee, thou hast been damned, or something like that.
Yeah, just a crazy long...
Like, that's his name.
Those were crazy. There were crazy long Puritan names like that, but then they'd be like, but he'd go by like John or something.
I think he went by Nick, actually. Like Nicholas or something.
Yeah.
Fly fornication.
I remember these. I remember these.
There was another one, another set of names that I saw going around recently, or a couple actually. One was a tweet I saw. Let me find it, which was names. 15th century names for dogs. This tweet says, in the early 15th century, Edward, 2nd Duke of York, wrote a list of 1,126 names he considered to be suitable for dogs. Highlights from this list: Nosewise, Garlic, Pretty Man, Gaylord, Norman, Filthy.
How many names?
1,126. And I don't
know this is the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know this. I haven't gotten a hold of the actual list, but
I want to see the entire list.
Yeah. And then another thing that was going around recently was a list of Quaker names. Did you see this when it was going around? No. It includes, let's see, we've got Broadbank Plant, Charity Corn, Charity Nut, Comfort Cripes, Constant Groom, Cotton Brown, Digworthy Marshall, Discipline Matthews, Dolphin Munn, Elizabeth...
That one sounded like an instruction.
Elizabeth Poop, or Poopy.
Also an instruction.
There's also Love, first name Love, last name Beer, first name Love, last name Butcher. Gay Poop. Gay, first name Gey, last name Poop, Poope. Or Poopy, I don't know. Gristle Toldervy, Hallelujah Fisher, Reuben Rawbone, Peregrine Doily, Temperance Poor, Susanna Poop, Squire Boone, Sherlock Thorpe, Sentence Grimes, Loveday Killow, Marvelous Scanfield, Patience Fish. Just like bonkers great names. A lot of poops in here. Fetty Place Church, Fountains Dairy, Furley Loosevelt. Just, I don't know. There's just something really, like, fun about all these weird names.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a name review podcast. It includes all those baby names. We could move on to these. We could get some of those dog names, like Pretty Man and stuff.
All right, so what ideas do we have so far?
Okay.
Should we go over and try and pick one?
Yeah, I think we should. We had... So the names ones, the names one or ones that I just said. What were your ideas again?
So there's what should this book be about?
Right.
And also your sister's idea, which was better, which was just
an improvised story.
Improvised story,
right.
Which I think could be kind of fun. And then How to Kill a Billionaire.
Right. Sarah's
which I just would like to circle back to.
Okay.
What if, Ted Cruz pissed on himself because like the warm feeling running down his leg while standing on a banana peel while he and Jeff Bezos were visiting the Grand Canyon, and then he slipped both over the cliff.
That is a great fantasy. I don't know that it's a podcast. I don't know that there's like, what if that? That'd be sweet. Cool. Fun times. Then what?
Well, you could try and improve on my scenario.
Oh, okay.
Play with me.
There's lava at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
And sharks.
And lava sharks.
Lava sharks.
Yeah, I don't know.
What if Jeff Bezos also pissed himself before they went over?
What if they pissed each other's pants somehow?
See?
And they
writes itself.
They were at the Grand Canyon in a don't piss anyone's pants contest live on TV. And they both failed and pissed each other's pants, slipped on a banana peel, fell into the lava shark Grand Canyon. And
they were screaming about innovation as they went over.
Yeah. I think my favorite idea...
What if Elon Musk was there too?
Yeah, Did he piss everyone's pants as well? I think he's probably pooping his pants.
Yeah.
Knowing Elon Musk as I do. That's what he likes to do.
Diarrhea So he shit himself, and then he slipped on his own shit, and he went over too.
Okay. This is not a podcast. I'm sorry. I like the idea, but it's not a podcast. I don't think.
Okay.
Maybe.
Can we discuss it more off air?
I'll draw a picture.
Can this just be our own little game that we play?
Maybe.
Yeah, draw a picture of it for me. That'd be great. I'll
okay.
post it on I'll post it on our Instagram.
Well,
We've had no posts yet. That'll be the first one.
All right. Well, I'll think about that. I did say I would do it for some reason. Yeah. Anyway, my favorite idea...
If you'd like to see that, get in the comments.
My favorite idea so far has actually been Sarah's idea about changing one thing in the world and then talking about like what that would actually do.
Yeah, I agree. That one is almost as fun as my billionaire idea. No, I think we can expand on that one.
Okay. I don't know what we would call this podcast. So we should think about that.
Let's start by kind of talking about some scenarios and trying it out. And then
and see how it goes.
See how we feel about a title after that.
Yeah. Okay, so what if we start with the mustache thing?
Okay.
The world is exactly the same except everyone has mustaches. Men, women, children, babies, dogs, lizards, everybody.
We talk? So should we like kind of how should we format this? Should we talk about like what would be improved and what would be worse?
I think just like try to think about. I mean, sure, but I'm just trying to. What I'm thinking about is like what would that actually mean? What would the ramifications be? Right? Does everyone have a mustache because it's impossible to get rid of the mustache?
So shaving no longer or shaving your face isn't a thing?
Or like you shave it and it just grows right back, right?
Right.
Like Kirsten Dunst in Interview with the Vampire where she shaves her head and it all comes right back because she's a vampire. So everyone's got vampire mustaches. maybe. Or maybe just like it's just like an immovable fact no one would even consider shaving it off.
Do fake mustaches no longer exist?
Fake mustaches would probably not exist. Oh, actually, maybe they would because people would be like, you know how people right now, like...
Because wigs exist.
Well, yeah, wigs exist, but also, like, people like to draw smiley faces on stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how we, like, see humanity is a smiley face. That's how we see, like, animate objects or animate things, right? Like, animated things have a little face.
Right.
In our mind, at least, right? In this world, maybe mustache is either part of that or just that. You just put a mustache on a tree, and now a tree's a little guy, right? Or whatever.
I feel like that's true now.
I mean, I guess so. But more, it would be more so, right?
So fake mustaches are kind of like googly eyes?
Yeah,
People are running around putting mustaches on everything? Yeah,
people are mustache bombing stuff. Would there be... Oh, go ahead.
Wait, well, I was going to ask, in this world, are we saying all humans have mustaches, or does everything have mustaches?
That's what I'm saying. Everything has mustaches, maybe, or maybe we should think about it. Fish have mustaches, lizards, frogs, goats.
So everything in the world looks like a dapper little gentleman.
Yeah, except a dapper gentleman is no longer a guy with a mustache because that's everything.
Oh, you've got to add a top hat.
right. Yeah, I don't know, like.
Speaking of which, completely unrelated to anything, but we should add a little dapper mustache to Cumberbatch.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did? You did?
Goosebump ate it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I forgot.
Cumberbatch is our skeleton.
It's an anatomical, life-size skeleton. And I did put a mustache on it for a while, and our cat jumped up, tore it off, and made it his own little mustache. I
forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. It didn't even show up on him because he's all black.
Yeah. So cats would have mustaches?
All black cats? Would they have different colored mustaches?
Maybe.
Would black cats have like white mustaches?
I mean, black cats can have little white spots sometimes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, they might, maybe. Also, I was going to say, would this lead to like a flourishing of different mustache styles, right? Would women maybe style their mustaches differently than men do?
Right?
Not to be gender normative or anything, but like put little bows in your mustache or braid your mustache or like or whatever. And maybe men would do stuff like that too, right? Like, I mean, men already do have competitions of like who can have the craziest mustache / beard,
I would like it though. I would like it if in the world where everyone has mustaches, maybe things became less gendered because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe men have little bows in their mustaches or braid them or whatever too. And maybe just a flourishing of mustache diversity.
Maybe mustaches are just the great...
Yes, Rory, you would also have a mustache.
Maybe mustaches are just the great equalizer.
Maybe.
Or maybe everyone tries to rob banks because everyone is in disguise.
Yeah, I mean, like, would stuff like the Hitler mustache still be looked down on, or would it be like, well, actually, lots of people had those, and it wouldn't be so specifically tied to him, right? Like, if people throughout history had mustaches.
Yeah. He really ruined the Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Right, the Charlie Chaplin. Besides Charlie Chaplin and Hitler, more people would have that little toothbrush mustache or whatever, maybe. People could have curly mustaches. People could have, people could dye their mustaches.
There would probably be a lot more taboo mustaches, as if everyone has mustaches. There's going to be more evil people with mustaches.
That's true. That's true, but I'm saying, like, maybe they wouldn't be able to corner the market on that mustache the way that Hitler did, right?
Right, because,
There's so many people have that mustache and be like, well, yeah, a lot of people have brown hair.
Right.
Just because this guy that had brown hair was evil, right? Whatever. But maybe there would be some styles that would be seen as taboo. Like, what if maybe there would be like maybe shaving is a thing. People never get rid of their mustache, but maybe they like shave out the middle and just have side mustache. You know what I mean? Or maybe they shave it into
So you think maybe just the middle is shaveable?
Well, I'm saying they can shave it however they want, but everybody still just has a mustache of some kind. Because there's also like pencil thin mustaches that people do, right? Which I kind of usually think looks sort of gross, but like it's a thing.
Salvador Dali pulled it off all right.
Salvador Dali had his mustache. It wasn't quite pencil thin as I recall, and also it stabbed up on the sides like some kind of clown mustache or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But people would do stuff like that, right? People would wax it into crazy shapes. People would grow really long mustaches. People might have never invented soup. People might never have invented soup. Have you ever eaten soup with a mustache?
Well, no. Obviously I have not.
I have. I've had a long mustache before. And they call them soup strainers sometimes because it sucks to eat soup. It just gets all in your fucking mustache. Your mustache gets full of soup. It sucks.
But you could trim your mustache.
Yeah.
Mustache world, right?
You could. But imagine, cavemen. They don't got scissors and stuff, right? I'm sure they cut their hair somewhat, but there would be a lot of people who would just, for various reasons end up with long mustaches. And
soup is really good, though.
Soup is good. Also, just as a side, or just along these lines, eating in general with a long mustache sucks. Like, eating a sandwich or whatever, you easily get your mustache into your mouth and you're chomping your mustache.
So there's probably going to be a lot of as seen on TV products for mustache maintenance.
Mustache maintenance, or holding your mustache up away from your mouth while you're eating.
Ways to make your mustachioed life easier.
Yeah, there might be a mustache, like a special mustache
glue
holder, or
I mean, I guess we're just talking about mustache styling products, probably wrong.
Well, I was imagining kind of a bra type thing that goes around your face to hold your mustache up while you're eating, like a special kind of reverse bib for your mustache, maybe, or maybe it's not a reverse bib, but I don't know. Actually, I feel like something like that might exist somehow, but I don't remember what it's called. Anyway.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to research that when we're done.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So, that's mustache world. Maybe we should talk about another possible kind of world.
Well, let's see. We've already talked about a world where unicorns exist and steal your cereal.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. How about a world, because you mentioned vampires, how about a world where vampires actually exist?
Okay.
Would that be fun to talk about, or would that be boring?
Well, that does fit the criteria we're talking about, but to me, I see it more as one regular thing is different, right? Not supernatural stuff.
Okay.
Because that gets us into a fantasy realm, and this is more what if just one more mundane detail was different,
okay, what if the color black doesn't exist?
Okay. That would have that would either have huge ramifications or just be a different quirk of
what
power.
would goths wear? Gray?
Dark blue?
Dark gray?
But
dark blue?
if gray exists, doesn't just the darkest gray that exists become what we perceive as black?
Well, no, because you made it boring.
Sorry. Rory.
No, you can't say that. That makes
Okay.
that ruins it.
So the reason I say that it's either has huge ramifications or is just kind of a weird quirk of our eyes being slightly different is like if black doesn't exist, that black is the absence of light, right? We see black when something absorbs light and doesn't reflect it, or there's just no light there at all, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, like, maybe don't get too logical with it, and let's have fun with it. Like, what would Black Sabbath be called?
Okay, so do you think? All right, well then, do you think they would go for another color that's almost as dark? Would they be like brown Sabbath, dark, like navy blue Sabbath, or would they try to go
like
for
dark Sabbath?
Right. Well, I guess to be annoying logical guy again is like dark and black are sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like dark, if black doesn't exist, how does dark exist, right? Because in some languages, black and dark might even be the same word, right?
Okay, I got a fun one.
Okay.
I got a good one. What if religion doesn't exist? Or at least Western Christianity.
Okay, so Christianity just doesn't exist.
Western Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying Western as opposed to like Eastern Orthodox kind of Christianity? Or whatever? Like the Byzantine Empire and stuff still happens, and Russians and stuff. They're kind of Orthodox.
Okay. Well, no, let's just say Christianity blanket doesn't exist.
Okay, interesting.
Does something else replace it?
Well, for sure, right? Something does, because everybody was religious originally, pretty much, right? Judaism, I guess, still can exist. Islam might not exist, because that's a post-Christianity thing that treats Jesus as a prophet.
Okay, what if we just say religion doesn't exist?
Okay. So now we're just doing the John Lennon song. Imagine.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, no religion.
But imagine.
Or what if just none of the...
But just think about it for a second.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah. But, or maybe it's like none of the religions we know about exist. What other religions might have flourished if none of the ones that are big now did?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make up religions.
Well, I'm
regretting this topic.
Make up religion. Okay. All right. How about we just go with like, what if we don't have wood? What if there aren't trees?
Oh, I said that one earlier.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. What if there aren't trees? Well, there obviously still have to be plants.
Yeah. Plants existed before trees did, right?
Right.
Plants existed, and then trees evolved at a certain point.
Well, I would be sad. Well, sad.
You wouldn't know.
I guess I wouldn't
trees
know.
Trees would never have existed.
I'm sad now thinking about a world without trees.
No, I mean, trees are good, but like, what would we do in that world? Would we still have plant-based... I mean, I guess there's still wood without trees, because some kinds of bushes are woody.
Wood furniture would be like really super expensive,
right?
Because it's a lot harder to like...
Yeah.
Paper would be like a luxury, probably.
Paper... Well, we could probably make paper out of other stuff, right? We could make it out of grass. You can make it out of like ferns and leaves and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was gonna say wood, I guess in general still exists because like there are a bunch of woody things that aren't trees. Like the wall I'm looking at in the house next door or whatever is covered in ivy, and the big like strands of the ivy plant look like wood.
Right, but it'd be pretty hard to get like planks and stuff.
Big amounts of it would be harder to come by for sure.
Right. It would certainly make things... It would make it harder to make things out of wood.
Yeah, for sure. What would we do? Because wood is useful. We build a lot of houses in America out of wood because we have a lot of wood, right? In Iceland, for example, they don't have as much wood. They build stuff out of concrete more. Right. Right. They also have a lot of earthquakes and stuff. But anyway, like other places don't have as much wood as we do and don't build as much stuff out of wood, or just don't for other reasons. But like wood does have properties besides just being plentiful that make it useful, right? Like,
right.
It's fairly carvable, right? It's easy to carve wood, or a lot of kinds of wood, right? I guess we wouldn't have Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Right? We wouldn't have...
what would we have instead of Christmas trees?
Well, if people were like us, they would have a Christmas skeleton.
Christmas skeleton.
But, yeah, I don't know. We could still have wreaths. of some kinds of stuff, not like
maybe we'd have Christmas trees. Maybe somebody's imagined the idea of a tree, and people like just have
fake
trees. Like, wouldn't it be cool if trees exist?
Is there anything that people do that's like that now? I guess unicorns don't exist and people imagine them.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if people would imagine a tree.
Well, sure, because plants exist.
What if there was a bush
like,
but really tall?
Yeah. No, someone would totally imagine that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
We would probably still have like ferns and stuff, right? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, do we have any ideas what we would call this podcast?
What would we call this podcast? What if... we could just
call it What If. It's kind of boring,
We can't call it What If. That's too broad, and there probably already might be a podcast called that. Or if not, it would be impossible to Google. But...
How about A Whole New World?
A Whole New World. Yeah, also difficult to Google, probably. We could also just call it, What If Everyone Had Mustaches, right?
What If Everyone Had Mustaches?
Just name it after the first...
long.
I guess so. But so is What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Right. But what should our podcast be about? At least is a little catchier than What If Everyone Had Mustaches.
Is that
doesn't
catchy?
Quite roll off the tongue.
Okay. What if you had a mustache? What if we called it
What if we called it Mustache World?
Mustache World, or something along
People might think it's a different podcast.
Something like multiverse, imagining the multiverse, or exploring the multiverse, or I don't know. That's kind of boring, but. Something along those lines.
Exploring the mustache verse.
Across the mustache verse?
Across the mustache verse.
Yeah, that doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's kind of a fun title.
Yeah. You might be curious to check out a podcast called Across the Mustache Verse.
Or
how about Imaginary Mustaches? No, that's not it.
I feel like it probably can't just be mustache. Some of these ideas with the mustache make sense, but I don't think all the ideas should be about mustaches. Although something like, what if babies had mustaches? Could be fun, maybe, but I don't know.
It's a hard one to name.
Yeah, it is, because it's kind of broad. We also already ran into, it's a little bit hard to come up with topics.
Maybe
right?
we should ask our listeners to give us some suggestions for this one.
Yeah, give us suggestions. I'm going to have to title it when I make the title of this episode, probably, but send us your ideas for titles for that, and other ideas for what if scenarios, maybe too.
Yeah, and we should say that anyone that sends us ideas will definitely give you a shout out. Also, if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we will also give you a shout out.
We'll mention anybody who reviews us on any of the podcast things. I don't know if you can review on other things besides Apple Podcasts.
Hopefully it's a good review.
You know what? If it's a bad review, we'll still read your name. So
yeah.
Any review.
Thanks for the bad review, Nick.
Yeah. Thanks. If Christ had not saved thee, thou hast been damned.
We appreciate all feedback.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah, I think we might need to wrap up. Rory is starting to get a little bit fussy here.
He's repeatedly throwing his pacifier on the floor.
On the ground, but he wants the pacifier.
So yeah, follow us. You can find our socials on our website, which is coolpodcast.website.
Yep.
We're on Facebook. We are still not on Twitter.
Are we not on Twitter?
I don't believe so. I believe our account is suspended.
Did it get resuspended?
I think I only thought it wasn't suspended because Twitter's a mess right now. Yeah. And so I logged in. It let me log in, and it looked like I could post, but then I couldn't. Huh. So I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we're still getting a ton of emails from Twitter being like, check out these things on Twitter to our account for this podcast.
Yeah, so I'll check it out. If our account is active there and you can follow us, do. It's at What Should Pod on Twitter. We're also What Should Pod on Instagram, which I am not currently posting anything on, but we may be posting a drawing on there soon.
Yeah, we might. I guess we might.
But we'll start posting audio clips on there soon.
It's gonna have to be like a Ben Garrison style, super over labeled political cartoon type thing.
Yeah. No, that'd be really good. So it might be a little while, but because we do have a baby.
Not to brag or anything, but we do have a baby. Yeah. So I guess we'll see you in Mustache World.
All right.
That's the sign off.
That's the whole thing. That's the sign off. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. What was that podcast about? Could you perhaps help me out? We should have asked them to shout. Didn't catch what that was about.